So some things that we're hearing is that people are thinking, great, we're driving thousands of clicks to get a half dozen real users. Now, that's something that I think a lot of people are struggling with. We were recently working with a client and they were driving, super high reach to the site. But when they looked at the leads, they were able to see that it was a really poor quality coming through. It's really important that you're looking that your clicks are actually driving real users to your sites. Also, a gut feeling that the clicks aren't real or that distribution has done nothing. So we were working actually quite a while ago with an agency, and they had a sponsored content campaign on a publisher site. The publisher had guaranteed some distribution. And again, they just weren't really seeing that quality. They were seeing those numbers come in, but they weren't seeing high attention, social engagement, or anything like that. And that's a real challenge. So another thing that really leads us into is looking at the high reach at the sacrifice of low quality, or hitting your reach numbers but not your KPIs. Now, a good one to look at here is actually a campaign that we were measuring recently. This was a campaign that was running on a business and finance site, and they were running an insurance campaign. And this is something that you'll see a lot. You've guaranteed reach for the campaign, whether that be at the publisher or agencies demanding a certain reach. And so you've got this distribution running that's bringing people into the content. But the challenges that you've got there is that, the high reach might be affecting your other KPIs. And that's what we were seeing with that example. What was happening was they're bringing all these thousands of people in, but they weren't spending any time on the content. They were leaving the content really quickly. And so the brand and the agency had obviously requested high attention as a KPI. They hit the reach target, but didn't hit the attention. So it's always good to keep those in mind. Also, a lack of transparency on what's happening. So I think this really goes for everyone across the board. Agencies really want to understand, how the distribution is performing. Yes, we've been guaranteed reach, but how are people bringing it back? Where is it coming from? What was working the best? And then also brands. Brands are, creating a huge amount of owned content, which they're then pushing out into the market on different, networks and so on. And a lot of the time, what's focused on when it's coming back is this is the amount of people that came through, this was the clicks, and this is the cost per click. Now, not to say that that's not important, it is important, but what happened after they got on the content is really important to look at that. And for publishers as well, they've got those KPIs to hit, and so they need to understand as well what's happening on each part. And next up, worst of all, we've been measuring with antiquated metrics. And so I kind of touched on that at the beginning during our technical difficulties. And one of the biggest challenges we see here, and this is what we were finding when we were distributing, our clients' content, was that we were optimizing towards things like time on page, which is a pretty outdated metric if you think about it, only counting users who click through to a second page on the website. And if people were, bounce rates and things like that.